it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Today, it is time for our weekly roundup where I take a look back at all of the eyeshadow palettes I've used over the past week and I rank them from least liked to most liked. Typically, I do like all of the eyeshadow palettes, but sometimes I like one more than the other for whatever reason. And this is really helping me to use all of my palettes as well as decide if there are any that need to get out of here. So this week we have 7 palettes and 7 slots. So let's jump right in. At number 7, we have the lovely Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 3. Now, I use this palette to do a full face of Danessa Myricks, and I use some of the eyeshadow shades, and I believe I used one, maybe this one, of the face powders. I did not use and kind of never use this shade here, Orion, because it is a glitter, and I don't really like putting glitter on my eyes, but I did enjoy this look. I always enjoy this look. I always enjoy the looks I do with this palette. I've used every single shade on multiple occasions. And yeah, nothing wrong with this palette at all, but somebody had to come in at number 7, right? And that is the Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 3. Numero 6 is the La Cienega palette from Adept Cosmetics. Now, I loved the look that I did with this palette. It was nice and soft and pretty and cute and what else, right? And I also know that I can do the same look with a variety of palettes that I already have, but what makes this palette so special for me is the name of it, as well as the name of the shades. So being from LA, a lot of the shades just represent places that I frequent when I'm home visiting my family or when I'm just like, when I'm home. So this palette just reminds me of home, and so that is why I just love it. Despite being able to recreate the look I did with probably every single palette that I own, I love the nostalgic vibes that it gives me, and so that is why it is in number 6. Now, number 5 was also in last week's roundup, and I wanted to give it another shot because I didn't really like the look that I did with it last week, and that is the Cosmic Brushes Royal Rose palette. Now, I gave this palette another shot, and I really enjoyed the look that I did. I just felt like I was having a better eyeshadow day than I had when I used it previously last week. And I know some people are kind of mad at Cosmic Brushes right now because their newest palette called Muse sold out in like 2 minutes. Now, here's the thing. I'm the chosen one, and I was able to purchase the palette. So I'm not as mad at them because I got it. It just hasn't gotten here yet. But I am mad on behalf of those who didn't get it and they wanted it. So as soon as I get that, I will definitely do a review because I do know that they are restocking. I think they're doing a pre-order, probably already passed. Yeah, it should have been like this previous week that the pre-order was going to come out. So hopefully you can grab it if you really want it. But I've been really enjoying Cosmic Brushes palettes. I have this one and the Serenity palette, and this one definitely redeemed itself this week, and it is at number 5. Now, guess who's at number 4? This is someone who is like almost always in the roundup. There are like 2 brands that are kind of almost always in the roundup, either both or at least one. So take a guess. Take a guess who it is. Who is it? Yeah, you're right. It is Pat McGrath, and it is one of her quints, one of the 5 pans, the Celestial Nirvana eyeshadow palette in Bronze Bliss. Usually I would gravitate more towards the Nude Allure palette, which is the other 5 pan that came out at the same time as this one, but I wanted to grab something different, and the Nude Allure was already in a roundup a couple weeks ago, I think. So this was like a cool, like smoky look that I wore for working from home one day. I really like these 5 pans because I feel a lot more comfortable taking these with me to work if I decide to use one of these that week just because of the packaging, and it's a lot smaller than, of course, her bulkier packaging like the black lacquer. I really enjoyed the look that I did with this. It was cute, it was super cute, and that is why it is at number 4. Number 3. Now this brand was just representing this week. Number 3 is the Adept Arrow inspired palette. I wore this palette at the end of the week, and I used this shade here. You can probably see because there's some like dippage in it. But I really liked the look that I came up with. It was very bold. The colors were very saturated, and it was just like I was looking at myself in the camera as I was therapizing people, and I was like, my eyes look amazing. Like, yes, they do. So I really enjoyed the look that I did with this palette. I mean, it is the typical Adept shimmer formula, and there is a row of mattes that were pretty easy to use. I'm glad to have this in my collection. I'm interested to see if they will continue to make palettes in this like format, or if they'll go back to the longer rectangular ones. I think I actually like those a little bit better. Those are like the original palettes, but we will see what they're coming out with next. I do know that they announced that they are getting rid of the Amunet palette. That is the one I actually have on my eyes today. I'm gonna grab it. It's not in the Roundup. It'll be in next week's. But this is the Amunet palette, and it is the Amunet Dark. The dark one has this shade here set as blue, and the light version has, I think, more of like a tannish color, if I'm remembering correctly. But if you want this palette, you might want to grab it because it is being discontinued according to the brand. Now, I do believe Adept has said things like this before, like, we're discontinuing, you can't get it anymore, and then like things come back. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but if you want it, maybe it's time to get it. Make sure to use a discount code. They do have quite a few of them listed on their website. So that was number 3. Number 2 was my work in the office look, and that is with the Viseart Theory Siren palette. It's just a really pretty kind of like rosy toned neutrals. I was able to do a nice pretty little look with it, and what I do like too is that these are pans that can easily pop out, so I was able to take just the whole palette out of the packaging and put it into my kit pack, which is this little magnetic palette here that I typically put my work shades and things in. So I was able to just have them on this side along with my bronzer and blush and everything, and I liked that. I really do like the Viseart palettes that are magnetized, but this was a really soft, pretty, easy look, and I really liked it, and that's why it's at number 2. Number 1, what do you think it could possibly be? What do you think? Let me know. My shoulder's itching. That's random. Does that mean anything? You know how if your nose itches, or is it your palm itching, that means you're gonna get some money or something? Girl, I need my palm to itch. Anyway, number 1. It's a palette that I built myself. Build your own palette. Ow! And it is this palette right here that I wore on Singles Awareness Day, aka Valentine's Day. I'm calling this my Love palette because it's kind of love, but like a little bit of a twist on it. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I just made that up in my head. But here is the palette, and these two are shades from Sydney Grace, and this one is one that's in my Focus palette. If you haven't seen that video, I decided to create a 12-pan palette of shades that I just want to use as like a neutral Focus palette of the year. I think so far I have used that palette in conjunction with other palettes typically about 10 times. So doing pretty well so far. But this shade Midnight from Sydney Grace is from that palette. And then this shade here is Sugar Bear from Sydney Grace as well. This shade here is Pretties for Your Face, and it is called Trinbago, and it was made in collaboration with Jamie Trini. And then this shade here is from Copacetic Cosmetics, and it is called Kitty Cafe. So I put this together. I really wanted a red toned look, and I really just love this red shade here from Pretties for Your Face. Oh, like, look at that. Why is it so pretty? I don't know. And then I also really like this Copacetic shade. I use that as sort of like an inner corner. I mean, come on. This is so effing pretty, okay? So this came in at number 1. I felt just really pretty on this day. I had my lashes on. I had a bold lip. I was just serving you looks that were super hot, like you're gonna burn yourself. That's how hot I was that day. So that is number 1, and those are the palettes that are in the Roundup this week. So let me know, what palettes do you use this past week? That is my favorite part, to hear what palettes you all are using, because sometimes too you'll remind me of a palette that I have that you've used that I use the next week. So be sure to let me know what palettes you've been using, or if you had like a singles build your own palette kind of week, let me know that too. Let me know, out of the ones that I did the roundup of, is there one that you liked the most? Let me know. I hope that some of this was helpful. I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Please be sure to like the video, and also please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.